everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're talking about Fables, Volume 13, the Great Fables Crossover. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're talking about Fables, Volume 13, the Great Fables Crossover. Now, this title is an anachronism. It is actually called The Great Fables Crossover, when in fact it is not great. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and germs, this is the worst volume of Fables I've ever read. This was 9 issues of time I will never get back, 9 pointless issues that meant nothing to the overall Fables storyline. Remember Mr. Dark, who we introduced in the last volume? Yeah, he's still doing his thing here, still rebuilding Fabletown. Does anything else come into play? No. The only real thing of significance here is your Jack of Fables, who disappeared sometime after Volume 4 to go on his own adventure in his own comic book series, comes back here, brings with him characters from his book. Jack Frost is apparently his son, hence the name Jack again. And these things called the Literals, who have the power to bring anything to life and make anything happen if they write them down. Some of them have the power of knowledge, the power of fallacy, and then there's like these other genres, science fiction, drama, romance, all these other things. And basically, you're introduced to a threat that is never explained what their purpose is, other than like the idea is that they want to wipe everything out. Why do they want to wipe everything out? Why do they want to erase everything and rewrite a new story? That is never explained. As this is a crossover between Fables and Jack of Fables, with a 3-issue miniseries called The Literal sprinkled in, I can only assume that this is truly a Jack of Fables storyline, and all that stuff that I'm perplexed by or confused by was set up in the Jack of Fables story up until this one. This collects Fables 83 to 85, Jack of Fables 33 to 35, and Literals 1 through 3. So I can only assume that the characters that I met here are deeply fleshed out, and their purpose and their goals and all that stuff is explained in the Jack of Fables storyline. It's just not explained here at all for newer readers. So I guess the assumption was, well, if you're reading Fables, you must read Jack of Fables, so therefore when we have a crossover, Bill Willingham doesn't have to explain anything. Well, I'm here to tell you that you can totally skip this crossover in the Book of Fables, as it were. Totally skippable. Absolutely skippable. I wish I had skipped it, honestly. Man, you know, I was actually looking forward to this because it was like a crossover, and I thought that would be cool with, you know, all the other comic book events and stuff we read here. But this was a huge letdown and a huge bore. Not because you weren't introduced to the characters before, just because there was no effort at all made to introduce you to the concepts or the battle or the conflict here. They still have the who's who in Fabletown, and they still don't really tell you who these people are, what the fallacy, what a powerful literal is, anything like that. It's not even in the blurb at the bottom. This is more about the story of Fabletown and being destroyed, and Boy Blue, going under, being dead and stuff like that. There's a couple issues here in the beginning where you do see like Jack come to town and start this kind of take over the religion that the Badger character started in the last volume, and kind of take that and kind of run with it. And Rose Red just being really depressed that Boy Blue is dead. So maybe you can read like the first half of it if you really wanted to. But once it starts to get boring, once you start to get past all that, I say skip it. Once you get to part 5, if you really are that bored, I say skip it. Go to the next volume. If that doesn't sound intriguing to you, then skip it entirely and don't read these 9 issues. They were a waste of my life. I can guarantee you I will never read this crossover again. It was that bad. Unless, of course, I read Jack of Fables and then get involved with those characters, maybe I might come back to it and be like, oh, wow, this wasn't so dumb after all, or so wacky, or so weird. But up until then, this was a waste of time. So let's end the video there. Let me know down below what you thought of the Great Fables crossover. Am I totally wrong? Do I need to read Jack of Fables? I thought this sucked. Let me know down below in the comments, and we will see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.